very quickly, let me just kind of go through this. So we know what Lockdown Browser is. It's a browser. It's actually a browser that locks the students into the test environment. So they get to Canvas in Chrome, but once they launch a quiz that's been set up to run through Lockdown Browser, it will go into a Lockdown Browser screen. And then it's running in a different browser. So we have purchased Lockdown Browser for Canvas for GISD. I know in the past, the college had it for Galveston College. And then just in the past fall, we enabled it for Aware. Aware had it available to us, and we were able to get that extension out to students and enable it. So with those two things being sent out, I'm hoping that that'll help us as a school district, as teachers, to be able to lock our students into our testing when we need to. All right, so what it does for them then is it keeps them from switching to other application. It keeps them from opening other tabs, copying or printing exam content, all that kind of stuff that you wonder and you try to use GoGuardian to watch to make sure they don't do. It locks them into that quiz, so they can't do it. So to enable Lockdown Browser for quiz in your Canvas, and I'll also go through the steps of doing it, but you'll just make sure that you see Lockdown Browser in the menu, in the navigation menu. And when you click on Lockdown Browser in the navigation menu, in the main window, you'll see all the quizzes that you have in that Canvas. And depending on, how long you've been using all that data, you might see a lot of quizzes in there. It just depends on just how many you've got in there. But then it's set by quiz. So you don't set it for the whole Canvas course, and you don't set it as a district. I can't set it for everybody in the district. It is a per quiz setting to set up. So you would select the quiz that you want to secure, and then you would hit the little caret on the side. It'll open that options menu, and you'll click on settings, and then you'll just enable the Lockdown Browser for that quiz, and you'll save it. So that's on your end. On the student end, and I just wanted to demonstrate this on here, it has a little circle with a line through for download. The students don't have to download anything if they're using our Chromebooks. The extension that is needed for the Lockdown Browser for Canvas and for Eduphoria, both of those, and it's two different ones, that have been sent out to those Chromebooks, and they are there. And we've actually pinned them. So if you look at a student Chromebook when it's open and a student's logged in, you should see the two icons at the top that looks like a little lock. So that means that they've got that extension, and it's pinned at the top, just so for a teacher to be able to see that it's there. So they don't have to download or anything. All they do is they log in as normal. So they'd open up their Chromebook, log into Chromebook. They would go to Canvas. When it's time to take a test, they would launch the quiz in Canvas as usual, and that's where Lockdown Browser will just pop up and take over. And then they'll be inside the Lockdown Browser for the quiz. So once they submit the quiz, then it'll go back to regular Canvas, back in the Chrome browser, and they'll be out of the Lockdown Browser. So submit gets them out of it. This is about reviewing. And so what I'm going to show you on this screen is students, you can set these settings, but if you set it just as normal where they can exit out of it, maybe they have to leave and go see the counselor, maybe you have a fire drill, or if the student needs to go to the restroom or something like that, and you allow them to do that during testing, then it makes note of any time they left the testing screen, and then they can get back in, and they have to write in there why they're getting out of it. Now you can set it up so that you have to put in a password to let them out, and it's more of a proctoring thing, so that a teacher would have to come over and put in a password that they don't know to let them out of the test. And we can look at that as well. If this was a type of testing, because this is able to do proctor testing where you have the camera on and it records the student testing, maybe they're someone that's working from home or some other thing like that, then there is a way to use Lockdown Browser to proctor. And then whenever you go into this review exam results, there would be a lot more information there. It would be, information about how active they were. It'd be information about, it would actually have a recording too that you can look at. But we don't use it like that when we're doing face-to-face with the students. But I just wanted you to know that that is what is there. And so for best practices, what you want to do is to let the students know, if we've not used Lockdown Browser before, you got to let them know that we're going to be using Lockdown Browser now. We're going to use it for this quiz. What I would do is I would set up a practice quiz. So I would do one that's not high stakes, just to practice. You can even be an informal that they don't even have to have a grade on, just so that you can make sure that you see it working and that it works for all of them. So you should make sure that they get comfortable with it. So then when they do a high stakes test, that's not new to them. They've already done that with you. So you want to keep your settings consistent in Lockdown Browser throughout each test. So once you have a certain way that you set it up, you want to keep it that way each time so that they are familiar with how it works. And then, as always, with any technology, you want to have a backup plan, because for some reason or another, something might not work. So you might need to have something available for a student who is having technical issues with the Chromebook they're using. You don't have enough Chromebooks, or the student is just having issues. So you need to make sure that you've got something available as a backup for that situation. All right, so there are resources, and I'll send these out to you as well whenever we get done today, or maybe in the morning tomorrow, I'll send this out. But they've got a great knowledge base over at Respondus. Let's see if I can get there. Yeah. So if you go here, there's a lot of information that you can see about FAQs. And then I'm going to show you also in Canvas, everything's there in Canvas really that you need. So you might not even need to go out here, but I just want to share that with you. And then Canvas themselves, just in case you didn't know, they do have a community. They've got a lot of Q&As, a lot of things out there that you can find information on, learn from other people that are using Canvas in other districts. So I wanted you to know about those two resources. And then of course we have our help desk here in GISD. It's called One-to-One. It's on your ClassLink homepage. But really, when it comes to anything Canvas, the best way to get support is just to email me. I am in the help desk system, but sometimes they don't quite get the tickets to me timely. So I always answer my emails, or at least I'm always looking at my emails, so I can definitely get back to you quicker if you just email me. So it's tanyameadows@gisd.org. That's what you want to do. All right, so I'm going to pull over Canvas here. This is my home screen. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look and see if I've got the Lockdown Browser for my course. So I'm going to use this as a test course. And what I'm looking for over here on the side is Lockdown Browser, and I can see it right down here at the bottom. So I'm going to click on that. And let me know if you're not seeing what I'm seeing, because if you're not, I need to make sure that you can. All right, so now I'm going to look over here, and I clicked on Lockdown Browser. The first time you click on Lockdown Browser, I think it asks you a question to get it all loaded. So you'll answer that question, and then it'll load up your quizzes. Now, I just have 5 here. You may have pages that just kind of scroll down. The first thing I want to show you at the top is some video tutorials. So getting started has a little introductory video about it. It also, it's for students too. You can watch it and see how it works. If you go over to video tutorials, it's got teacher training tutorials. It has it for how to use it with Canvas with classic quizzes. It has it with how to use it with Canvas for new quizzes. And then also an overview for students. So you can even show this overview for students on the big screen before you do it the first time, before you do your practice test, so they know what's going on. All right, then it goes on. It has to do with iPads and things like that, using Lockdown Browser on a Chromebook. Of course, it's got that too. But really, the top 2 are probably the best for you. And then there's also one you can show your students. If that's not enough, then you can even go over to guides and support, and there's even a guide, a quick start guide for new quizzes and a quick start guide for classic quizzes. If you like the printed out paper kind, that's all there. So that's why I said earlier when we were looking at that Respondus support that you can get all the support that you possibly need right here in Canvas. You don't really need to go out to anything else. So I just wanted to show you that was there. So I'm going to go back to dashboard and I'm going to show you how easy. So what I do is I'm just going to click right here on this quiz, and this is the one that I want to enable it. And you can see right here on the side, it says Lockdown Browser is the title, and it says not required on the ones that I have not enabled it on. And it says required because I did enable it on this one right here. So when I click the little caret next to it, I click on settings, and then I just say require. All right, and then I can save and close. And that's all I need to do. Now, what you can see also, I told you earlier on that one screen where it's reviewing, and I said you can see when students have exited the quiz and come back in. So this is where I would show that. If I had students do that, and this is my first time coming, it'll show me a number of how many exits are right here. It'll show it right here on the caret. But if I click down and I say review early exits, you can see that I had one, and this is my test student, and it was earlier today, and it said I just said testing, but they might say fire drill or bathroom or nurse or something like that. But you'll have a documentation of why they got out of the test. So they can't get out of the test without you knowing why they got out of the test or knowing that they did get out of the test. Even if they just write something here that doesn't make any sense, you know that they exited the test. Okay, so that's just some documentation there for you. All right, so the other thing that I mentioned that you could do is you could add a little bit more to your settings. So I'm going to go require Respondus lockdown, but then I'm going to go to advanced settings. So when I mentioned before that you could set it up in a setting where they cannot get out, like they cannot exit at all. The only way that they can exit is if a password is put in. So if I did this, lock students into the browser until the exam is complete, meaning they can't get out and go to the restroom or they can't get out and do these other things, then you would have to come up with a password that you would put in there that only you know, or whoever's helping you proctor knows. It's probably mainly you, so that the students are locked in. And if they want out, you'll have to go over there and put in the password. And you actually have to click on a little button to do that. So that's something that you can do. Now, any of these things, if you're not sure what it is, if you hover over the word explain, it tells you what it does. For the most part, you're just going to say require lockdown browser for this exam, and you're good to go. But if you did want to lock them in and make it where they can't get out unless you put the password in, then you'll have to come into advanced and turn that on. If I go to this one, it'll tell me allow access to specific external web domains. So let's say that you've got them, you want them to be able to access a certain site. You can check this, and within lockdown browser, when they're in their test, if you put in a site here, like maybe it's a book that you want them to get to, or whatever resource you think that they should be able to go to while they're in their test as a reference, you can add that URL right here. Okay. There's also a calculator. So if for some reason they need a calculator on the test, you can do that here. And then also, if I can get to the next one, let me just undo that one. Enable printing. So if you need them to print something, which they don't print anyway, so that's not a big deal. So you can enable the calculator. So those are in the advanced settings. So I'm going to close that and hit save. Oh, I guess I didn't put a password in there. Well, I'm going to just undo that. I didn't put a page in there. So it doesn't take long. It'll calculate and then it'll say required. All right, so basically what I do is when I'm ready to do a quiz, I make sure that I look at it under lockdown browser, and I make sure that lockdown browser is set to required. If it's set to required, they should be good to go. And for people that have just entered, We talked about at the beginning that the new quizzes are working great. The classic quizzes, they need to click one button for us over at Canvas. And once they click that button, then the classic quizzes will work too. What was being reported to me was when they went to settings and they said require lockdown browser, and then they saved, it would get stuck on this spinning and it would never save. And that's because there was one little link that needed to be made. So that will be turned on pretty soon, I'm sure. And I'll probably send it out through, if you're at the high school, I'll send it out through Stephanie Wilcox, that has been turned on. But anyway, so I was going to try to show you what it looks like for a student. But what I noticed is, since it's lockdown browser, once I go to take the test, it locks me out because I can't have a video thing on this. So let me just kind of show you what it looks like when they launch it. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to see if I can share with my student account. So I'm going to share over here, and I'm going to share my entire screen. Share that. Go to the student dashboard. So you should be seeing my student account now. So I'm going to go to that same course, Canvas crash course. And just to be easy, I'm just going to go to quizzes here. And I think I have them all published and available so they can just go to the quiz. So what you'll see is it has the name of the quiz, but it also says requires Respondus lockdown browser. So it'll have that in the name. So when I click on it as a student, it tells me that it's going to launch. And so then it goes into lockdown browser. Of course, then it kicked me off. Wait, here it goes. Let's see what it shows me. Okay. So now it's loading. So as soon as I hit the begin, it's going to throw me into that. Oh, it's in the browser right now, but it's going to kick off the camera, so you won't be able to see anymore. But then the students will be locked in to that. And you can see this little icon right here. That means we're in that lockdown browser. It looks a little different, doesn't look like the Chrome browser. So it launched in this other browser. So when I hit begin, it locks me into the quiz, and I can't show you that because it's going to lock the camera out and everything out of it. But then they're stuck in that quiz until they exit. And if they exit, let's see, well, I can't show you. Again, they'll hit exit, and then it'll ask them if they really want to exit or go back to the test. And if they say they really want to exit and they haven't finished the test yet, then it's going to ask for a reason. And then that reason is what shows up in the lockdown browser area underneath that quiz, so that you can see if people had left and why they got out. Then when they're done and they hit submit, then this window goes away, and then they go back to the regular Canvas. So that's that. See if I can even get out of this. See, I'm gonna have to leave that up there now. So let me see if I can share mine back. All right, so there we go. Coming back up. Okay, it says it's sharing, but it's not sharing. Let me try again. I'm not seeing it. All right, so, but that was basically it. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask me a question or share something. Or if you want to put something in the chat, that's fine too. I'm looking at the chat as well. So either way.
I did have one quick question.
Yes.
I noticed, which I know it's not the same as Go Guardian, but it when I put Go Guardian on my students to see what they're doing, some of them are still able, like I'll put a classroom screen so that they can't go anywhere but that specific website, and they're still able to kind of like, I guess,
Is this
take
Go
themselves.
Guardian? Are you talking about Go Guardian or
Yes,
Lockdown?
is it the
Okay.
same? Is it the same with the lockdown? Are they gonna
So
be able to kind of
No, so lockdown browser, because GoGuardian is kind of locking them into their Chrome browser, like you're locking them into like a certain tab or a certain site, or maybe you're just allowing certain sites. Lockdown browser is its own separate browser. So
Okay,
when
so
yeah, it's different. So when you set them up to take, and it works with our quizzes in Canvas. So that's this, and then of course aware. But so when you set them up, when you set a quiz up to go through Lockdown browser, it will go through Lockdown browser. It won't allow them to get out of Lockdown browser. It's
oh,
different.
okay, it'll just they won't be able to click anything else but stay on the
Mhm.
quiz.
In fact, I'm stuck right now in this one in Lockdown browser on my test student. I can't do anything. I have to hit begin before I can get out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right,
Yeah, and
thank
just
you.
try it, Vanessa, just try it just like with something that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And just
Mhm.
test it with them first. What campus are you at?
Ball High School?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Test it with
Thank you.
that. And I don't know, Vanessa, if you have the classic quizzes or the new quizzes on yours, but just know if you're having trouble turning it on, that it should be fixed pretty soon, and we'll be able to send that out through Stephanie.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, if that's it, then we're, 7 minutes early. I knew it wasn't going to take that long. And I'm going to record this and put it up on YouTube if you need to share it with a friend or if you need to refer back or whatever. But it's pretty simple. And then if you do, like I said, they are locked into Lockdown browser. But Vanessa, if you ever do see like somehow they figured out how to work around it, just let me know. I trust that more than I do. I mean, GoGuardian is kind of a classroom management tool, and Lockdown browser is like locking them into a test, so it's a little different.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Right.
All right. Anna, do you have any questions?
No, you said you were gonna put it in a YouTube thing?
Yes, because you jumped in just a little later, but you'll see the very beginning of it. And again, it's super, super simple. It's just
Okay.
that one classic quiz, which I think a lot of people have classic quizzes, especially if they've been copying from year to year. And so we just need to get that button pushed by Canvas. And I'm hoping to hear back from them soon that they've done that. And then I'll let y'all know.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, great. Thank you.
All right. And I'll send this out on YouTube, and I'll send you a link to you guys since y'all were here. I'll send you a link to the YouTube, and I'll send you the slides, the Google slides that I did. But it's really,
Oh,
like I said,
awesome.
it's super, super simple.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
great. All right, thank you.
All right. All right. Y'all have a good day.
All right, bye.